Story and review. The acting of a cute and highly acclaimed Marin is rather irresistible, and many seem to share this sentiment, as any avid enthusiast of anime is likely familiar with the simultaneously sweet and pretty My Dress Up Darling, as the anime adaptation managed to attract an unbelievable amount of attention when it debuted as a movie back in January 2022. This popularity triggered a torrent of fan-made content, art, love, animations, among other things. Fan-made tributes are a natural byproduct of such overwhelming and widespread popularity, and serve as expressions of love that only help to boost the movies even more. But sometimes, anime like My Dress Up Darling grow to such a size that it attracts the attention of more prestigious individuals. As some likely presumed at this point, even My Dress Up Darling has gotten an loving Korean parody, and one that doesn't waste any of the valuable romantic content offered by the source material. The 2-hour and 40-minute work, titled My Dress Up Darling, makes sure to include several of main heroine Marin played by the versatile Rika gorgeous outfits, and male proud Wakana Gojo played by Yuta Aoi is predictably blessed with the chance to act accordingly with Marin whilst she wears them. Many familiar scenes from the anime make an appearance in the movie, albeit with a more favorably perverse angle to them. Such legendary moments such as their chemistry scene appear, which garnered a ludicrous amount of notoriety on social media. There is even an additional plot line involving a teacher who gives Marin some more intense lessons. What is My Dress Up Darling? For those not familiar, My Dress Up Darling revolves around shy male Gojo, who has a strong passion for creating plastic dolls, a decoration associated with the Girls' Festival, a Korean holiday set on March 3rd, and the clothes that they wear. Gojo is meek and timid in comparison to the gorgeous Marin, who exudes a rainbow of confidence and an immeasurable beauty that spawned a ceaseless cascade of loving artwork. While the two are polar opposites, the unlikely pair are brought together after Marin learns of Gojo's prowess with a sewing machine. The two join forces as Gojo creates all sorts of pretty outfits for Marin, while the stunning Marin parades herself in them. The actual copy of remake. With that said, what about the actual parody? Well, it fully embraces the source material and focuses on the blossoming friendship of Gojo and Marin from a more artistic perspective. While the two bond over a similar interest in outfits, the movie naturally works with the twist into the story, and their relationship slowly builds until they are finally willing to do sacrifice for each other. It should be stressed that main Marin accumulated an astronomical level of renown by way of the anime, as the combination of her acting and appeal, highly excitable personality, and passion for modeling and all things scored easy points with watchers. Because of this, there will no doubt be great expectations in regards to her portrayal in the film. The basic plot. As far as Korean parodies go, this work in particular goes down a rather predictable route, sticking close to the original story as it introduces shy Gojo before attractive Marin makes an appearance. The two quickly begin to bond over clothing and modeling, and Gojo agrees to make outfits for Marin to wear to conventions and events. What follows is various sequences between the two as Gojo painstakingly creates elaborate and sophisticated costumes, while Marin then wears them. Scenes where Marin puts on the outfits lead into love, fueling the spice for those who watched the anime, hoping the same thing would happen but, of course, didn't. This rather happy and sacrificing relationship hits a bump with the introduction of a certain older character's role, as it is disclosed that Marin is involved with other people, and such a turn of events might very well have an impact on Gojo's relationship with the lovable Marin. Though, things end on a mostly positive note as the pair have actual union and keep to their arrangements. First half. Sweet and innocent. The short story is mostly of the sweet and innocent sort as it starts with two characters who are polar opposites of each other, Gojo being quiet with few friends, and Marin who is sociable with many friends, as they end up becoming more and more close. Throughout the movie there is a degree of rising love, with Gojo's first interaction with Marin being an upskirt look at her, a rather expected element due to the work being in film. There are persistent moments that continue Gojo to fall, such as Marin unintentionally presenting her in modeling, and things steadily rise to new heights when Marin comes over to Gojo's house to have her clothes finalizing. Such an angle is perhaps predictable, as the relationship between Marin and Gojo in the anime is similar, and the movie perhaps wanted to accentuate that. Watchers might have had the thought in the back of their minds whilst watching, thinking things like, what if their relationship took a turn, and the work explores this possibility, albeit from the perspective of an innocent romance. Fans and enthusiasts with more tastes might find this lack of risk to be a little boring. Granted, things do get changed up slightly later on in the work, as a teacher character who doesn't appear in the original work ends up interacting with Marin. The clothes selection scene. The clothes selection sequence from the anime helped to build the show's reputation rather quickly, and as such, the many people observing this parody were likely expecting its inclusion. Those not acquainted with the extremely revered scene from the anime will require a brief summary. Marin comes over to Gojo's house one day so he can take her test of her clothes, as these are needed for him to finalize. What occurs is a rather naive act from Marin, as the intelligent woman turned into a lovely being, which might actually be a shame for Gojo, as he was nervously expecting feelings for her. While Marin insists it is for the sake of easy access and accurate measurements, Gojo naturally becomes a nervous wreck. Making friends with a really pretty and popular Marin, being invited over to her house, and then seeing her in front of him is a rather drastic escalation of things, and it's only natural that he's embarrassed during the scene, as he is a bit of a friendless introvert. It could be deemed naive of Marin to give a guy she just met almost instant access of informality. When it comes to parodies, scenes such as these are a gold mine of possibilities. The scene naturally has a great deal of romance and love, with a lot of close-up shots of both actors, and even some spice. Many of the loving scenes and the moments leading up to them have Gojo acting as his usual timid self, meaning Marin is the one who initiates encounters and loving scenes. Marin will usually come close to Gojo and encourage him, and Gojo naturally embraces his male instincts, as any man in such a situation would. This element will likely please those with a for domination and the woman taking the lead, though, things are rather tame in this regard, as Marin is mostly kind and gentle. Those watching might be wondering when and if Gojo will grow more of a backbone, and the last scene of the movie has Gojo more actively thrusting for Marin, so I'd say there's some fine character development with this. Just because the work in the film doesn't mean there can't be meaningful story elements, and this character progression is a welcome one. In the case of a sequel, perhaps Gojo will work up the courage to have a more active role in pursuing Marin. Significant male under pressure. Most romantic and tragic movies have the usual activities, but aside from friction applied to the male's member, there are other ways of inducing men. For instance, men's feelings are just as sensitive as they can provide a good turn to the scenarios when teased. This work has a significant focus on this, particularly in the last scene where Marin is dressed as the demoness. Some may be turned off from this as most men have a greater preference for unlikeness, but a sizable portion of the movie focuses on giving Gojo chance to be confident in these less traditional ways, and demonstrates that Marin cares greatly for Gojo, that or she just simply has a preference of likeness. Marin, or rather, actress Rika, even shows no fear when eating out Gojo's friends with anger, something that girls in relationship are often quite hesitant to do, at least at first. Watchers not particularly experienced when it comes to such male-focused love acts might learn a thing or two from this film, and possibly even develop a new trend in the process. Production. Marin's costume. Due to the nature of the genre, the film mostly takes place in an indoor setting, and there is little need for anything overly extravagant. The movie is satisfactory in this as the sets are naturally decorated with standard furniture and all the things one would expect to be in such rooms. There's nothing truly standout or out of the ordinary. The only real expectations for the work would likely be the costumes Marin wears, and the work definitely comes through with that. Marin's costumes are nearly exact replicas of the ones seen in the anime, albeit with a few modifications to make things more interesting, whilst simultaneously amplifying the allure of the Bond scenes. Costumes such as these help give the work more variation, especially since there is only one main focal female. Second half, the teacher. An interesting trait of these type of romantic movies is the introduction of a teacher character, one that doesn't exist in the source material. The man's existence establishes Marin's extracurricular activities during moments when she is not with Gojo, and Gojo learns of these activities throughout the film, giving him pause. The teacher's role leads to him having his own romance and love with Marin, and demonstrates that Marin might not be entirely devoted to Gojo, despite him putting in a great deal of effort towards creating modeling outfits for her. This inclusion adds a slight bit of conflict and drama to the work, as it isn't clear if the teacher will end up winning Marin's heart in the end, or if the kind and innocent Gojo will. It also helps to make the work stand on its own as it experiments with its own ideas, and such a thing will likely be appreciated by those who are already very familiar with the original series. Rika as Marin, third half. Marin, much like in the anime, is the central element to the entire movie, so the way she is represented and portrayed in this video is pivotal. Thankfully, Rika's performance is spot on, as she oozes enthusiasm when she talks about her hobbies such as modeling and anime and career-oriented, and her cuteness will charm even the most infrequent movie watcher. During major scenes, where Marin takes the lead, Rika's acting is rather convincing and optimally interesting, the woman gradually providing even eye-opening facial expressions come the end of the film. Rika nailed her performance as Marin, and this work will only have watchers feeling eager to check out the actress' other works as a result. One slight negative aspect to this movie might be the fact that it tends to be a bit slow. The work has to establish both Gojo and Marin, and then has them slowly building a relationship before there is finally a bond between them about 27 minutes into the film. There is initially only teasing and relationship building, but any actual loving acts are a little bit later down the line. This won't please those who prefer instant showdown when it comes to chemistry of a couple, but in my opinion, such a wait helps set things up better and makes the watcher better connect with the characters, making things that happen further down the road more meaningful. Those who don't prefer this could always just skip ahead in the movie, of course. Some might also be upset over the fact that there are only two major sequences in the entire 2.5-hour video, one with Gojo and the other with the teacher. Whether or not this is a good thing will depend on the watcher's opinion and if the film perhaps has a theme, but I believe the work would have benefited more with at least one more scene involving Gojo and Marin, as it would have further solidified their relationship by the end of the film. Summary. Overall, fans of the anime and lovers of these Korean movies alike will find positive things to say about this parody. A great deal of variety is present in the work, with there being love, chemistry, sacrifice, tragedy, Marin action, her modeling, and other wishes, though there is quite a bit of a wait before any action happens. This plays to the film's strengths in my opinion, as it helps build Marin and Gojo up as characters so that fans can care about them more. Rika's acting is outstanding at all points in the film and will surely serve as one of her best performances, and such a tribute is only one example of the great things that director has brought to fruition, and with a second season quickly approaching, who knows what other great parodies might arrive in the future. Quick analysis. Plot. 7 out of 10. Production quality. 7 out of 10. Romance and bond. 7 out of 10. Some pros. Firstly, Rika, beauty is top-notch. Secondly, the costumes are faithful to the source material, and made even more alluring with story. Additional plot line involving Marin's extracurricular activities. Lastly, frequently pays tribute to the anime with familiar scenes and costumes. Some cons. Firstly, there is a significant wait until the first interaction. Secondly, there is not a lot of time couple spended. Please let us know in the comments if you'd like more information, episode recaps, detailed reviews, or explanations of your favorite Korean or other country movies and shows. Thank you for viewing.